Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Peak Physique podcast. My name is Ricky Grabo. I am the owner of Peak Physique Fitness in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And if you're not familiar with the podcast, we're a podcast for adults who are trying to get their fire back. Um, this is our third episode and back on YouTube again, doing a video along with the podcast. And it looks like this is where we're going to carry our podcast. And for the time being, perhaps we'll add it on to Spotify in the future. But for now, we're just going to do YouTube. I'm still learning my ways with this whole thing. And it looked like I got quite a bit more viewership on YouTube. So it's probably the preferred platform for most people out there. Um, with that being said, let's dive into what we're going to discuss on today's podcast, which is mental health. I think more than ever today, people are in need of solutions beyond just medication to help their mental health. And in my opinion, it's something that you should be working on day to day. And I'm going to give you some good strategies to help you improve your mental health, even if you don't need it. These things lift you up, make you more motivated, make you more excited, and just get you in that good mental state. Um, with that being said, let's jump in. I don't want to focus on the negatives of mental health as much as the solutions to it. But for this first one, we got to talk about the negative side of things a little bit. So, the first thing that I recommend is limiting your time on social media. The reason I say this might be on the negative realm of things, I really think that social media is the root cause of the prevalence of mental health issues in our society today. When you look at timelines and where things started to just kind of seem a little off base, I think it translates well with the invention of the smartphone. And the smartphone was when people started to have a little bit more ability to expose themselves to social media at a rate that's just a little bit, I don't know what you'd say, I guess just a little bit unhealthy, just too much exposure and the things that are on social media and how it's designed for most people is creating an unhealthy mental state, just exposed to too much negativity in general. And I recommend you limit your social media, do things like maybe perhaps delete social media from your phone. As hard as that might be, that'll definitely help your mental state. Just allowing yourself to have access to it on an old desktop computer will, limit you to maybe just a few times per day rather than constantly like some of us do. So that's first, and like I said, the most important. Second one, pretty predictable coming from a coach. Workout. Working out changes your state. If you're in a low, negative, depressed state, going into the gym and doing some resistance training, going for a run, participating in a competitive sport, whatever it is going to change your state. It's going to get you sweating. It's going to increase your body temperature, get your heart rate up. And those things usually translate to a better mental state. Not always, but most of the time for me, it helps. Even if it is the worst workout in the world. I had one this week like that. I wasn't, really into it and just not really feeling the whole thing. I got up from a nap and my energy was low, but I did the workout. I was probably 20 minutes into a really half-assed thing and kind of got my energy and was able to finish the last half of the workout with a lot more vigor. And God, lucky for my clients at the gym, I felt a lot better afterwards and I had some energy. So that's number two. A big one that I'm an advocate for, and I just started doing this a little bit more consistently last year, is getting out into nature and hiking, especially if you're in a city all the time. I like to call the city the concrete jungle. And I don't know measurables about this, but I think there's something that you don't get when you live in a city that you do get in nature that helps your mental state. I'm sure someday we'll have science that really describes what that is. But for now, I just highly recommend getting out and getting into nature, going on a hike. Even if it's a 2 mile hike, that's better than nothing. What you'll find is hopefully you're removing yourself from social media. Some of you out there will be selfieing everywhere. I recommend staying away from that too and just really enjoying the views before you. Maybe take a picture to let everybody know what you're doing, but other than that, get that thing in your pocket and keep it there and enjoy nature. Um, You're also doing number two when you're out there. Number two, I mean, number two on the list here. You're working out when you're out in nature hiking too, so you're getting kind of the best of both worlds there. Um, Another thing that I recommend is joining a social club and just putting yourself in an atmosphere where you might make new friends. This is especially for the case for you remote workers out there that might be in a room like this one all day and not around other people. Getting into a social environment is going to make you step out of your comfort zone a little bit, but that's a good place to be. And making friends and sharing a bond with people with maybe similar interests is going to make you happier, going to put you in a good mental state. And we're always looking for those kind of options in life just to change that mental state from negative to positive. Um, Another big thing, I highly recommend that you perfect meditation. Um, Meditation is a very, very challenging discipline. I am very much novice. I just kind of close my eyes and breathe and try to shut off all of the thoughts in my brain. But there is a lot more to it than that, which is why I say you should perfect meditation, working towards that point where you're exactly where you want to be in a mental flow state when you meditate. I have a book here that I highly recommend called Breaking the Habits of Being Yourself. This book details exactly how to become an expert meditator. Like I said, I am on level one yet and need to continue to advance the way I do it. But meditating, as you probably know, just gets you out of your own head, hopefully, and makes you breathe. And the breathing process, going deep in and out, kind of counters how we usually breathe, which is in a panting, short breath kind of state. And that does nothing for your mental health. It really stresses you out, and it can be shown to even raise your blood pressure. So get into meditating. I will put in the comments section the name of the book, the author. So if you do want to get that, you can hop on Amazon or go to your bookstore and get that bad boy. It's a pretty easy read. A lot of it is detailing the disciplines and how to work through one level to the other and getting to a point where you can really, really find that expert meditation. Another thing, and I kind of mentioned this already, that I recommend you do to improve your mental health is do things outside of your comfort zone. I may have listed a few things out of your comfort zone already, like working out, going into nature and hiking, joining a social club. Those are all things that might be a little stressful for you at first, but sometimes that kind of stress is good. Stepping outside of your comfort zone really, really makes you have to dig deep within and do things that are brave and harrowing. And when you complete those things, or say you go to a gym and do a workout for the first time, when you get home, you're gonna really feel happy with yourself for stepping out of that comfort zone, and you get a little bit of a lift mentally from that. And that's number 6. Get a drink here, and then we'll jump on to the last one. So, another thing that I recommend is expressing gratitude. Such a simple thing to do that gives you, oddly, just as good of a lift as the person that you're expressing gratitude to. That this can be you just sending a text to somebody that you love, telling them thank you for something they did that was kind in the past. I like to do this with everybody from family to people who have mentored me as I've become a business owner. And yeah, like I said, it really gives you the same kind of lift that it's likely to give the person on the receiving end. That can be a text, call, email, whatever. I've heard of a lot of people that try to do this every day. And if you could find somebody to express gratitude to every day, I think you should. It'll definitely make you smile, especially when you go back and forth with that person and reflect on whatever it is you're thanking them for. And again, that's just a good way to get out of that negative state and get more into a positive mental state. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Let's do a quick review of the things that I had mentioned that I recommend you do to get in a good mental state. Number 1, and most importantly, limit your time on social media. And I forgot to mention when I was going through that includes the news too. all that stuff for the most part is pretty negative, and it just doesn't do anything good for your mental health. So limit it and try to expose yourself to more positive things. Number two, work out, work out, work out. I recommend 3 to 4 times a week with weights and cardio, and in between going for brisk walks outside and really getting out in the nature and getting that fresh air. Which brings me to number three, get out to nature and hike. I don't mean walk the city streets. I mean, literally, if you live in a city, get in a car, drive to a place where you can actually get into the woods and do some real hiking. I can't really state any kind of study that tells you what creates a better mental state from doing it, but from my own personal experience, it makes me feel better, and I've heard other people say the same. So I think that's a really good thing to do. Another thing, join a social club, make new friends. This is going to again put you out of your comfort zone, but it's also going to immerse you with other people who have common interests, and you can develop a bond with them, which hopefully creates a positive mental state, especially those of you out there that work remotely and aren't really exposed to a lot of people. You got to get out there and interact with people. I know it isn't the funnest thing to do at first, but it's important. Um, Another thing, perfect meditation. Use my book here, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I shouldn't say my book, Dr. Joe Dispenza wrote it, but this book really does a good job of breaking down what it takes to become an expert in meditation. You won't get there overnight, but in my opinion, I think it's good to know you have to, or what you have to do to actually get to expert level meditator. Number six, do things outside of your comfort zone. Work out if that's not something that you've ever seen yourself do. Join that social club if you think that sounds way out of my realm. Find some people that have common interests that hang out in a group and go ahead and join it. Ultimately, though, step out of your comfort zone. One of my personal goals every year is to do something that makes me extremely uncomfortable. This year it is run a half marathon. So I do this too. It works. Finally, express gratitude. Find somebody that you appreciate for something that they did in your life and let them know about it. They will feel so good, and you're going to get a good emotional dump from it too. So it's worth your time. I hope you've enjoyed this. Mental health is a major, major problem in our country right now, and I don't expect this podcast to change the world, but we could help a few people, and that starts with you. If you could share this podcast on your social media to let people know about it, that would be very appreciated, and it could land home with a loved one that really needs some solid advice beyond just taking a pill to feel better. So I would appreciate that. Also, follow me from here on out. We're going to be on YouTube. So like our stuff so you can see when we post something new. We'll be doing these weekly, posting them on Saturdays, and maybe sometimes here and there, sometime during the week. If you're interested in working with me as a coach, we work with people in Milwaukee. We work with people anywhere else in the country. You'll see a link in the comments section or in the description that'll put you to a contact form that you can reach out to us from. And yeah, we'd love to work with you, whether it's on exercise or diet. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week, you guys. Have a good one.